should Biden declare that he's not going to run? And if he does, what effect is that going to have not only on his voters and the Democratic Party, but on Trump and his voters? Because as we know, Trump ain't exactly no spring chicken either.
Yeah, Biden doesn't want to make himself a lame duck, but if he is going to get out, it'll have to be, fairly soon after the election this year, I think. But I think that Gavin Newsom would probably be the strongest opponent that they have right now that I think nationally, in terms of the charisma, and he's led a large state. But I think he's been a terrible governor, obviously. But in terms of the age thing, though, I think that, polls show that I think Trump would have his stronger chance would be against Biden. And I think that he would have a weaker chance against Newsom because he would have this new generation argument that he could make. But as far as the Trump base isn't going anywhere. I think we both know that to this day. But the question is the general, and I think that Biden would be a spectacularly weak candidate no matter who the Republicans put up.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the two best things for Democratic chances in the midterms would be for Biden to declare that he's not running, because that would invigorate voters, get them more interested in the election, start thinking about the future, and for Trump to declare that he is running, because then it would be about Trump and it would be the perfect distraction for the Dems. That's what they want. Trump, in essence, would already be on the ballot again in the minds of enough voters to actually have an impact on the midterm. So that's point number one. If I could suggest two things to help the Dems' chances. Also, as far as the race goes, I agree with you. Unfortunately, I would love to have, Charlie Baker run against Roy Cooper. Most people haven't heard of that. Haven't probably heard of those. The governor of Massachusetts, a Republican governor who has a very high approval rating in a blue state, and another governor who's just got reelected pretty handily and is doing well in a purple state. And by the way, governors make better presidents than either businessmen or congressmen. So let's get a governor back in there because they've actually governed. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that, we're not going to see that ticket. There was this new third party that just declared. They've got some people from the left. I think they got
David
Christine Todd Whitman and
right.
Mr. Andrew Yang. And they said this time it's going to be different. We're going to be a third party that's going to have track. I don't buy that. Who knows? Here. We'll see. They could shake things up, but I'm skeptical. So I think we're going to be stuck with the Coke or Pepsi. And I don't know. I just think that the Democrat Party is just really jumped the shark in terms of how far left it's become. Because I know you don't want to acknowledge this, but defund the police has been very common in very large cities. The Seattle police or city council, Minneapolis, the New York mayor with all the Bell stuff, the San Francisco DA. So it's basically happening in practice where they are defunding the police because they're saying, we don't care about you. We're not supporting you. And in some cases, they are actually cutting real dollars, millions of dollars away from the budgets. And then you have the vice president, Kamala Harris, who is bailing out these criminals who were protesting and being violent against people who support the police. So it's pervasive. It's not just Cori Bush. It is actually very common in the left to say that we want to defund the police. So I think that the security issue and the fact that violent crime is incredibly high and climbing. My friend in Chicago, he's a Fox contributor, Gianno Caldwell. His 18-year-old baby brother was murdered, in Chicago and in a nice area. It's just, and that's why you're seeing so many, I think it was 43 million people moved from one zip code to the other during the pandemic. And the vast migration of that is coming away from California, away from Illinois, away from New York, into places like Texas and Florida and conservative areas. So I think this is all boding well for Republicans for the future. But we'll see.
Well, first of all, this is a dirty little secret, but violent crime has gone up just as much in rural Republican areas as a percentage as it has in urban Democratic areas. So crime is going up everywhere. That's not a party specific thing. And as far as the police go, a lot of that was fluff. You know, Minneapolis voted it down. When Eric Adams came in as mayor of New York, he rescinded any talk of, you know, budget cuts to the police, as he did getting rid of one of the things that's really bothered me, getting rid of these gifted schools, which are the only path for poor kids sometimes to get out of neighborhoods. So again, I think it's a lot of it is hype, and I think that you're seeing a lot of people who came out against defunding the police. They're pariahs in the Democratic Party. But I do agree with you that any type of protester should be held accountable, whether it's January 6th, or even though you can't compare January 6th to Black Lives Matter in terms of the potential ramifications. You know, one was not trying to overthrow our democracy, but still, people should be held accountable to the full extent of the law, and that includes a lot of people who weren't just there, but people who were instigators. Hint, hint. Merrick Garland, I hope you're listening. Anyway, well, I think that does it for another episode of Practically Political. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.